Rachel Reeves pauses plans to reduce amount savers can put in. Now, this is about cash ISAs. Now, we've spoken about cash ISAs extensively on this channel over the past 5 years. We've spoken about ISAs quite extensively. An ISA is a beautiful way for you to keep your hard earned cash away from the government once you've already paid tax on your income, right? You can put £20,000 into the savings apparatus. And if you're lucky enough to max it out, £20,000 every single year, over 10 years, that's £200,000 free of income tax, free of capital gains tax, free of dividends tax. The government cannot touch it. Now, given where we are, because the landscape has massively changed, the government is in a difficult position in terms of predicament around the economy and a hole in the public finances. Cash ISAs have become an option, low hanging fruit for the Chancellor, for the government to look at to increase tax revenues. Now, we're in a bit of a tricky situation because, and I'm going to give Labour and Rachel Reeves a little bit of credit here because this was something that was on the agenda under the Tories towards the end of their tenure. We are now in a situation as a country where, even by recent news, the economy is shrinking. Still, we have a huge hole in public finances. So, when you're scrambling to raise money, where do you go? Cash ISAs are a simple and easy win. Why? Because the majority of ISAs that are opened every single year are cash ISAs. And the Chancellor, her team, HMRC knows that if you're going to try and squeeze people that little bit more, reducing cash ISA limits is the easiest way to go about. Now, there has been some spin here. It's been spun that she wants to reduce the cash ISA limit from 20,000 to rumored £5,000 because she wants people to invest more. But what we know is that as a nation, unfortunately, we are woefully uneducated, misinformed about investing and how it works. We don't feel comfortable. We don't feel confident to be able to do that. At least majority of people don't. I think it's changed now recently with the advent of YouTube and social media. There's a little bit more information about how investing works, but that doesn't take away from the fact that there's lots of scams and negative connotations around investment still. Now, she's been saying she wants people to be able to invest because it means greater returns for the future, but she doesn't talk about the risk or the downside. So when we talk about all of this, because that is an educational argument, right? And what is the government doing to help this educational argument? Really nothing, really nothing. But the headline suggests that she's now changed her mind, at least, or she's rethinking that approach of reducing ISA limits, cash ISA limits from 20,000 to £5,000. I wonder why, because she's being lobbied by banks, building societies, and consumer groups. The first two, obviously, may be of interest to you, banks and building societies. Let me read you something else that was in this article. And this is from building societies. Building societies had argued that the money deposited by savers was vital to fund mortgages and that slashing the limit would reduce the number of homebuyers they could help. Now, there are two ways in which you can look at this. Let me give you the conspiratorial view first. You work hard for your cash, you pay tax on it, you put it into a cash ISA, and you get a rate of return. Let's call it 3% in 2025. The bank then takes that money, lends it out to someone on a mortgage at, say, 5, maybe 6%. This is the banking system that I described right there, right? And a lot of people are not comfortable with how that works. But this is an economic argument. What the building societies are saying here is, well, if you do this, mortgage business might fall, which means that we won't be able to help as many people get on the property ladder. We won't be able to help home buyers. We won't be able to help people remortgage. So that's an economic argument. So where does Rachel Reeves now sit against this economic argument? Reeves has not dropped the plans entirely, but it's understood that ministers want more time to consult the industry because there are differing views on what shape any reforms might take. Now, you tell me, I mean, you cannot begin to convince me that this rumor has been percolating for as long as it has within the media space, and they haven't consulted with the industry on what impact it was going to have. I can't for 1 minute believe that that is true. So, What's really going on here? What's really going on here? I don't know. You tell me in the comment section. I'm sure there will be lots of ideas and thoughts here, but I honestly cannot get an understanding or at least begin to grasp what's going on here. Because, okay, let's just say they didn't consult the industry around, look, we're looking to reduce cash ISAs from 20,000 to 5,000 pounds. What impact is it going to have on your business and might have on the economy as you contribute into the economy? Let's just say that they hadn't had this consultation up until now. Maybe, just maybe, that could be described as incompetence, perhaps. I can't believe that that is true. Not for the people that sat in number 10 and number 11 running the country. I cannot believe that 1 second. There was another comment in here that was actually really, really interesting. And this is from Matthew Carter, and he's the head of savings and mortgages at the Coventry Building Society. Millions of savers will be able to breathe a sigh of relief if the Chancellor has decided to change course on cash ISAs. He continues saying, cutting the limit would be all stick and no carrot. He added, the ambition to encourage more investment in UK equities is a good one, but taking extra risk with the hope of greater long term rewards isn't always the appropriate choice. Many people, essentially those already in retirement or saving for a house deposit, don't need or want the uncertainty of the stock market. And I cannot agree more. For all of the videos that I've made around this potential change coming down the line and talking about how important investing is, this has been the sentiment that I've seen most in the comment section. The fact that if you're a pensioner, you probably shouldn't really be looking to speculate over the long term in the stock market. You're probably more driven for income generation. And that's a completely different style of investing, a different risk profile that you're looking at there. And indeed, you could look at dividend investing. Does not to say that it's not risky, but those companies are a lot more established. They're stronger. They're less impacted by market movements and volatility, although they are impacted, but not as much as, say, tech stocks, for example, that move quite significantly. Also, for those people who are buying house deposits, I get the question all the time, Pete, should I invest my deposit money? And I say no every single time because of the risk in the market. So, what Matthew Carter is saying here from the Coventry Building Society is absolutely spot on. Now, the question is, how does our Chancellor not know that? Or does she know that and she simply just doesn't care? Or it's not a big enough argument when you think about the bigger picture and the problems that the country is facing economically? I don't know the answer to that. Maybe you can help me out and express your views in the comment section down below. But to wrap this video up, I think this is, if she's going to pause on this, this is good news. My fear is this will come along at some point because they need to raise more tax receipts. They have to. I mean, we're having conversations that Keir Starmer will not rule out a wealth tax, however they define that to be. These are conversations that previously have been batted away, especially around a wealth tax. Has been categorical no. It seems to be on the agenda right now, so I'm sure Gary Stevenson will be extremely happy with where we are right now because it feels like the tide is pushing towards that. But look, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens from here on out. The only thing I would say to you is this: look, whilst you have the 20k allowance, use it. Doesn't matter if you're able to use the full amount or if you're only able to use half of it or a quarter of it. Whatever you can put into it and start doing that now, because once it's reduced, you're not going to be able to go back and use the amount that you didn't make up through the years. But yeah, thanks for watching this. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. I would love to hear them. Catch you later.